Welcome. In this mini project, we're going to create a simple announcement web page like the following. Mine is announcing the release of Super Mario Bros. 3, which is very exciting. It'll be available on the 23rd of October, 1988, so I'm getting a little bit retro with this. But your announcement could be about anything. It doesn't have to be related to video games. It's just as long as it has something that has a heading, an image, and some text, and it's letting people know about something. So let's get started. Can you go to Google and type in JS, just the letters J and S, Fiddle, F-I-D-D-L-E, and it should come up with the result JSFiddle Code Playground, and if you click on that. So let me just explain what JSFiddle is. It's basically a very, very useful website that you can type your web development code here and the result will appear here. So for example, at a very, very simple level, I can just type hello and hit run and the result will appear over here. It's not very interesting, obviously, at the moment, but we can improve that. So the first thing I'd like you to do at JSFiddle is to create yourself an account. So if you click sign in here, and then you can click on sign up. Okay, so hopefully you've paused and done that. The next thing I'd like you to do is to click on the settings over here and click on tabs, columns. So basically, again, I'll just type the hello and I'll explain here. Basically, there are multiple different languages that you will be typing code in. The main ones are HTML and CSS, and in fact, I'm just going to drag CSS over there because we're not using JavaScript for this particular mini project. So HTML is like the content of your page, the text, the images, those sorts of things, and CSS is the style, basically making it look good. So we can flick back and forth between those two and we can see the result over here. So just again, you go to settings, click on tabs, columns, and then click away. Now I just want to explain quickly how the saving system works in JSFiddle. So every time I make a change or even just hit save, you'll probably notice that the number on the end here, it might be hard to see, but it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, etc. This is because JSFiddle uses something called version control, which means that every single time you save it, all your previous copies are saved as well. So if you decide that, oh no, I completely messed up what I'm doing, I want to go back to version 1 instead of version 2, I can just put that in the bar here and it will go back to the previous version. Also, if you click over here on the blue icon and go to your fiddles, you'll see that there it will save, it's only got one obviously, but it will save all of your projects here, and if you click on there it will go to the latest version. So for me it's version 2 up there. Okay, so I'm going to put the title of the fiddle as announcement in there, and I am going to personally make the font size as big as it will possibly go, and we might even zoom in a little bit more like that, just so that you can see easily what's going on. And the first thing I'm going to do is type in the heading in the HTML section. So the HTML section is the content, the CSS is the style. So this stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and CSS is for Cascading Style Sheets. But don't worry too much about that. We'll go into the HTML and type in, well, you type in your heading for your page. Once I do that, I'm going to hit save, or you can Control S as well. And that looks like it automatically runs it when you save it, but you can also hit run. And there is my heading you can see on the right hand side there. That's a really terrible heading. So how do we make it look a little bit more like a heading? Well, HTML, we put around the things that we type, we put things called tags. So if I press Shift and the comma button, I'll get this interesting sort of triangular bracket here. And if I type H1 for the largest biggest, most important type of heading, and then close the brackets, you'll see it automatically, JSFiddle automatically makes another tag which is /h1, and anything in between those two tags will be considered to be a heading. So now if I hit save, you'll see that the computer has at least decided, the web browser has at least decided to make it a little bit bigger. And there are, just so you know, there are 4 types of headings in order of how big and important they are. H2 would be a little bit smaller, a little bit less important, etc. But this is the biggest, baddest heading on our page, so we're going to go with H1. Now you can also put the tags like this if you wish. Either of those ways is fine. Now the next thing that we want on the page is a little bit of text down the bottom. Now that one, we're going to use a different tag, which is P for paragraph. And I'm just going to tab in here to make it look a little bit better. And I just paused and inserted the text there just to not waste time. So I want 2 lines, join Mario on a new adventure, available 23rd of October 1988. Now I've put this inside a paragraph tag, and you'll notice here that they are actually next to each other. I want this to be 2 paragraphs, so I am going to, well, let's Control X, let's get rid of that one. And I'm going to make a new paragraph tag here. And now I have this first paragraph, so start of the paragraph, end of the paragraph, and each new paragraph will be given its own line there. Now the final thing I'm going to add to mine is an image. Now when you're making websites in the future, you should be very careful about copyright. This is just a practice learning activity, so we don't have to be quite as careful. And what we're going to do is hop over to the internet and go to Google, and I have entered Mario pixel art. I might make that a little bit bigger. Mario pixel art, and go to images, and if I click on tools and color and transparent, then I'm going to get mostly pictures with a transparent background, which is what I want, because I want the background color of the page that we're making to not have to have this big white block around it. Okay, so I scroll down, find something that I like, so I like this one, and I'm going to right click on it and click copy image address. I'm then going to go back to my HTML code here. So where do I want the picture? I want the picture between the heading and the first paragraph, so in here. And the tag for an image is img. And when I close that tag, you'll notice that it doesn't make a /image end tag, because there's no text that we're putting between the 2 tags. We just want an image. So inside the image tag here, I need to tell the computer where on the internet to find the image, and that's src, source equals, and then do some quotation marks, and in between these quotation marks I'm going to paste the address of the image. So if I click there then on save, you'll see that my image comes up here. Now your image might be really, really small or really massive. You can control the size of it. So after the address here, you can type width, for example. Width equals, and I could say something very small like 30 pixels. And you can do height as well. Choose one of those 2 to limit it by. And then when I hit save, you'll see it's very, very small. But you can do whatever size you wish. I'm just going to leave it at the normal size that it came with here. Don't forget to hit save all the time. It doesn't matter how many times you hit it. You don't want to lose your work. We are going to take our basic announcement website here that doesn't look so good and make it look something like this, which hopefully will be a lot more interesting. So up until now we have been writing HTML code, which is the content of the page. Now I'm going to click onto CSS, and CSS is where we put the style of the page. So the main thing to understand with CSS is that all of these tags, such as H1 for the biggest type of heading, P for paragraphs, and image, etc., we can say in the CSS what styles we want to attach to that particular thing. We can also do something that applies to the body of your website, which is everything that you can see on this page here. So I'm actually going to start with that because I want to make a background color and set it up so everything is centered in the middle. So I'm going to type body, B-O-D-Y, and then open up these special sort of curly braces here, these curly brackets. They are usually sort of up just above the enter key to the left, and you will have to press shift to get them as well. Now inside here I can set, for the body of the whole page, I can set some styles. So the first one I'm going to do is background dash color. Now you'll notice there's no U in the color because these programming languages all use American spelling, so something to get a little bit used to there. Then I'm going to do a colon, which again is just to the right of your L key, but you have to press shift as well. Background color, and I could do something like green and then do a semicolon to end the line. So colon here, semicolon here. But unfortunately, usually those colors are not exactly what you want. So what I suggest you do is type in color picker in Google, and you can actually mess around and find a background color that would suit your web page. Now, I would suggest you either go quite light, something like this, or quite dark and have white text on the background. Once you've got what you want your background color to be, where it says hex here, you can just click copy, and then you can go back and paste that into your website. So here we are back, and let's make this full screen a bit easier to see. Here we are back with the background color, and the other thing I want to do in the body is I'm going to say text align center. Again, C-E-N-T-E-R, American spelling. And what that will mean is that everything in the body will be moved over to the center. Now this is a very simple way of doing it. When you have more advanced websites, there are better ways to set things up, but that's just a simple way of making things look nice on your site. Okay, next of all, let's go in and give some properties to the text. So I'm going to type in H1, so any H1 tag, make sure we put those brackets. Any H1 tags are going to be, what color do I want the heading to be? I want mine to actually be kind of a bit of a yellow thing. And so I'm going to copy and paste my color, but again, you go and get whatever color you would like yours to be. Don't forget semicolon tells it it's the end of a line. So there's my heading there. I don't actually think my heading is large enough, so I can say font size and set it to, you can experiment, but 80px for 80 pixels. There we go, nice and big. For my paragraph here, I'm going to say that the color of the paragraph is white. Now a shortcut for white is just to do a hash FFF, or you could just type the word white. So if we scroll down, you can see here it's white, but it's not nearly big enough. So let's say font size equals, try 30 pixels. Now I had to actually experiment with these numbers a lot, but I'm just copying my other code from this point. There we go. That's doing much better. So you can see our page here is looking better, at least. Not perfect. If you want to look at your your site or your page full screen, what you can actually do is go up to the top here and type in show at the end of the address, and then it will show it full screen for you. You might find that interesting. So the final thing we need to make our website look really, really fantastic is to fix up our fonts here. So you can see on our finished product here we have a font for the heading and a different font for the text, and we've also got this shadow behind it. So I'm going to show you how to do all of those things in this video. So let's start with some font basics. You can type in font-family and you can specify what type of font you want. So if I type in serif, this is for the, oh sorry, I should put this in the heading because I'm doing the heading. So serif is the default here, and serif fonts have these little extra bits coming off the edges, and it makes it sort of look a little bit more old-fashioned. If we do sans serif, sans-serif, sans means without, you'll see you get a font that doesn't have those serifs. I think it defaults to Arial. Now there are a small number of fonts that are just built into most web browsers. If you Google web-safe fonts, you'll probably find out what they are. So I could actually say, okay, I don't want Arial, I want Verdana. And I will get a slightly different font. Now, just so you're aware, the name of the font here is Verdana, and then it basically I still have to write after it one of the three, serif, sans serif, or cursive, which is like a handwritten style, that it'll fall back on. If it can't find the Verdana font, it'll fall back on one of those three basic ones, if that makes sense. But we don't want to be limited to this. We want some really cool fonts. So we're going to go across to Google Fonts and find some that we like. Okay, so I'm going to search here for Google Fonts. I think this is the one that we want. And underneath where it says available to anyone, see available fonts. I think that's what we want. Okay, so it has categories here, just as we talked about. It's broken up into serif, sans serif, handwriting would be cursive. Monospace actually is one I forgot to talk about. Monospace fonts, every letter is the same width. Even if it's a thin letter like an I, it'll have these lines going out to the side to make it wider. It's really almost always when you're programming, you're typing in a monospace font, but for your website, you probably don't want it, to be honest. So I'd like you to go through and find a font for your heading that you think you like, and pause this video and go and do that. So hopefully you've paused. The one that I used for my heading, I think was something to do with Rubik moon rocks. So I'm going to click on it, and this is the font here. You can actually type in some text, your heading there, to see what it would look like in that font. And then it says select regular 400. Now 400 is just how bold it is. Some will offer different amounts of where it's semi-bold or thin or whatever. This one only has one, so I'll select that. I'm going to click on the plus, and it's added to my thing of fonts. But I'm not finished because I also want a pixel art one. So if I type in pixel, oh, that's not good. I think last time I just looked through until I found a pixel font, which was press start 2p. So again, I'm just going to go down and select regular, and you can see now that both of those two fonts that I want have been added there. once you've done that, you want to scroll down to where it says style. We don't want the style tags, but everything inside there, I will Control C and Control V up the top here. And that line of text here, this line of code, basically goes and fetches and loads in those fonts for us. So now, instead of using Verdana here, we should be able to do, Rubik Moon Rocks. Okay, and you can see now that we actually have it there. You can also, you'll notice down here it's got, you can copy and paste the code that we just typed as well. If you want to make sure that you get it perfect, you can paste it in there like that. Just be careful though, it's saying if it can't get Rubik Moon Rocks, it'll go back to cursive. I don't want that, I want it to fall back to sans serif. Okay, so let's have a look. What else do we have? Press start 2p. Okay, I might actually copy that one. It's a bit tricky. So copy that from there. I'll just tab that in. And I want it to fall back on sans serif. So I will hit save. And now we can see that we have the correct fonts. So please go and choose the fonts that you like. And then the final thing will be to get a shadow. Okay, so quickly, how we do the shadow is, I'll just show you what it looks like. So we have a command called text shadow. The -3 pixels and 3 pixels is the offset. So you can play around with those numbers and it'll show how far left or right or up or down it goes. And then the color of the shadow here, I'll just explain quickly. RGBA is basically a how much red, how much green, how much blue that you want. And the A is how opaque or how solid you want it. So if I put that as a 1, then it would be fully black, 0 would be fully transparent, and 0.3 is like a little bit transparent, if that makes sense. Now, red, green, blue color, RGB, I'll just show you on Color Picker, what you can do is if you find a shadow color that you like, let's say this shadow color, this is how much red out of 255, this is how much green, this is how much blue. So you can find a color that you like and copy and paste from there. But you'll notice that if you take away all colors, you get black. Okay? In web programming anyway. So type in RGBA, go and get the color that you like, put the 3 red, green and blue in there, and then this is how solid the color will be. I'm doing 0.3 so it's a bit transparent. Okay, so I'm just going to copy that as well, and we'll do the same thing. Oh, actually, I put it in body, so it applies to all the text in the entire website. And I'm actually quite happy with that. But the other thing that you could do is if you just want it on your heading, you could put it in, the heading section here. Let's reload this. It's being a bit silly. So I could put it in both this section and the section above, and maybe do it slightly differently for each one. So, or I could just put it in body. Okay. I'm going to save that, and the final thing I will do is, can you see we are up to save number 48? I'm going to click Set as Base, and what that means is that the web address without the numbers is now set to our final version. So when you're publishing, you should click Set as Base, and if you type in Show, then we can see in all its glory our wonderful page.